Ira Epstein with your SPDR ETF stock market wrap-up. And this wrap-up is for the evening, as we're here now on Thursday, the 26th of June, 2025. Well, the market just keeps churning on in the stock market, not yet at highs, but not far away. And as the tech has carried everything higher, other parts of the market are starting to come alive. Not every part, but a number of them. You can see all the stock indices went into the green. The gold is still feeling the pressure of the war that took place and now having to deal with the fact that the market is now dealing with no war premium for the moment. That's important. Tesla has had that run up off of launching the cars, then it gave back a chunk, and now the market is on the verge. If it drops another $5, $6, could have problems as the chart will turn negative. We keep going up in NVIDIA. That is carrying the market. We're looking at MU coming down a little bit. Amazon today up, and Netflix crossed the 1,300 level to close near the high. Is the market ready for another move to the 1,350? It seems to be jumping in $50 increments, so we'll have to see if that's the case. Apple was another market that didn't do very well today. As we take a look at MP, it's fighting here, so rare earths trying to get going, but they've been having a rough go of it. The chart picture is not the best that it could be right here. I'm not nuts about that. I do like what I'm seeing in Boeing. The market came alive again, and Meta, of course, continuing to move on along with Microsoft. Now, tomorrow you're going to get some news in the market because we get the Fed's favorite indicator. We're going to get the personal income and spending PCE price index data. The market is looking for this data to be up 0.3 on the personal income, and its spending, they're looking for it up 0.1 month over month. Then we'll get the final, and the word is the final, University of Michigan June Consumer Sentiment Index, and they're looking for a number of 60.5, no change from what the prelim was. So that's where you're at with things. But as you know, it's all a question now of where are we going, what are we doing? The pressure stays on. Will the Fed cut rates or not? I am of the opinion that there's no need to move in July. September's a whole different world. We'll have a lot more data. Susan Collins came out and said that, in fact, today. So the Fed members, while you've got, I don't know if Goolsbee is still as dovish as he was at the beginning of the week, because he did speak yesterday. It sounded like he wants to be a little more data conscious. I still think the majority don't want to do anything come July. Could this number with the PCE change it? I don't really think so. I think they'll still sit pat, wait for another month or so, and give themselves the end of the summer to see that the data is doing what they want and then make the jump. And, you know, if the Fed thinks they're getting behind the curve, who says they can't go 50 points when they cut rather than 25? I don't expect that. And I don't know that they'll have to cut in September. I mean, if you were to ask me on the data I'm seeing right now, should the Fed cut? The answer is no. If you're anticipating that we're going to get job weakness and the economy's slowing down, then yes. But the data hasn't shown that just yet. So I've got to be data dependent just like them at this point and not make the jump. Now, Restoration Hardware, I started showing it because I thought we're at an important juncture in this market. The question is the market beyond the point where the tariffs can hurt it? Because when the tariff announcement came and the other parts, this market certainly, as you can see, got itself hurt. They really don't inventory. They're more like a broker for goods, but you need the consumer to be spending. You need to see that they're buying homes, that they're going to do things with it, and that interest rates can spur on this type of product. That's what I'm thinking. When I look at what happened, I'm now getting to the point where I think that until you take out these lows, we are doing something important. We've got higher lows, higher highs with today's action on the swing line. The market is held, past tense, held now. The 18-day average of closes, like I said, if you take out these lows, well, then you have to go back to the drawing board. Barring that, the market is trying to lift itself up. The first resistance is here at the 196.13 level, which is the upper Bollinger Band. Momentum in the market is trying now to turn itself back up. So it's going to be important to see, can we get a breakout of this area, or do we stall out against that upper Bollinger Band? Tomorrow's an important day It's also the end of the week, which will be important for the weekly charts. We then look at MP Materials Corp. We do have the pattern of higher lows, higher highs. It keeps flirting with losing the embedded reading. The negative in the market isn't this part. First off, I think that if you take out this break low from yesterday, the market gets itself immediately into trouble. And that low yesterday was 33.93. I would not want to see that taken out. Barring that, you could climb all the way back up. China's not making rare earth materials available to U.S. companies. I know what they said. I wrote about it in my report today, did a lot of research on this over the past couple of days, looking very hard, and I am seeing that they are playing a game with us. You make your filings, you do everything for your license, they come back and they go, well, you got to go back to the back of the line. We need this. We need to know exactly where you're using it and in what product type. Why? They say they want to make sure it's not being used for military purposes. Nonsense. They have put up the roadblock. The Trump administration will see through it. I don't know what they can do about it. You know, now we're already approaching that 1 month through this, and the companies that are applying are not happy. They're not getting what they need in enough time, which gives value to a company like this. What I don't like on the chart isn't on the daily. What I don't like, because you're still embedded here, what I don't like is the weekly that's over the upper Bollinger Band. Can it stay over that for another week or two? That's the big question. When we look at Broadcom, just keeps pushing on the upper Bollinger Band in an overbought market. I thought 2 days ago the pros took some money off the table. That's all. Did they come out? I don't see why on any of these techs they're coming out of anything. I think they'll look at the week's low, this week's lows, and say if you start taking those out, maybe the market got ahead of itself and you need to do more consolidation. Barring that, as the techs go up, they're pulling the other parts of the market with it. When you come to Google here, Google's still got to prove itself. It's not one of the leaders in this tech. The market's had a downtrend. It came into the resistance, back up to the 200 and the 18-day average, able to close over it. It's got to prove it can do something. This is not a market that is making a move with the general marketplace. Obviously, Netflix is. This is a big winner. You're overbought. You're over the Bollinger Band 3 days. You rarely go beyond 5. So I think that the professional money, and I know you find this hard to believe, but I think they've peeled something off, past tense already. Now they're just sitting with tight stops, and they're saying to themselves, how do you get back in if you get out? That's what they're saying to themselves. Robinhood, as long as all these stable coins and they keep going into these businesses that look better and better, you can keep running with this. You've had the bullish embedded reading, which I love when that occurs, because you can afford to ride the Bollinger Band then and not come out of further parts of positions. Till it loses that, I'm friendly. Here's what bothers me on Tesla. On the chart, if you take out yesterday's low, which was sitting here in the 320.40 number, then I think you can come into these moving averages. So this is where I think it has to make its stand right now. As I said, you popped off. Remember, Sunday was the first day of the rides in it. Since that day of rides, the market has given back from 357, and it's already given back the $25 gain. It's basically where it started on Sunday night when they gave the rides. When you look at stocks, anything to do with this tech, the semiconductors, the artificial intelligence, is a run to the upside, and you can see what's going on. And folks, this stuff's still in its infancy. All right, this is the beginning of something. I mean, if you've used AI, and we use it in our company, it's amazing how it cuts down on time, how much fewer people you need to get a program done. It's very, very fascinating. In XLF, you have a lower low, higher high, or do you? Not now. Now you got higher lows, higher highs. But you're right into that Bollinger Band, and you're not able to really break away from that just yet. So it is not a market that I would tell a client, hey, go in and buy up here. Nah. And when it went into this stilt where you got the jump, it just left me behind. So not one of my favorite charts. And at the end of the day, I'm a chartist. To me, you know, you can take the name off the chart. You're trying to trade the patterns. And it's hard to buy up in a lot of these, even XLI, as you'd have to buy the upper Bollinger Band. And that's rarely the right thing to do. Very, very rare. In XLE, what gets you into trouble in the energy is if you take out yesterday's low of 84.26, you open the door for the lower Bollinger Band. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be stop and go, but the trend is down. It keeps fighting right here at the 18 and the 100-day averages, and momentum's down. I am not friendly to that chart. When we look at the gold market, it's given back the war premium, period. That's what it's done. You can see how the market is coming down. Also, do yourself a favor. Pay no attention to what the Ayatollah in Iran is saying. He's going to say they won. He's going to say they beat back the Israelis. He's going to say the Americans hit him with their hardest punches and no damage was done and everything's fine. The simple fact is we don't know how much damage was done yet. I want more intelligence, as you probably want to see more. I realize Hegseth, our Secretary of Defense, is going to be very aggressive and say that we've got things done. We've seen that our intelligence is saying it's done. Let's see what the rest has to say. You need boots on the ground to really take a look at this. Where is the uranium? The president thinks it's still at the bottom and that it hasn't been moved, and that the trucks that were there that they saw moving were actually doing some covering of areas in cement that was taken out. I don't know, all right? We'll find out. I certainly don't want to believe the Ayatollah, and I'm not convinced at this point to believe our own people. Let's see what other intelligence shows us. In the silver market, it doesn't want to stay down. It came down. It held this average. You'll remember I did my silver report. I still very much like this market, and I especially like it on the weekly chart. So in my morning subscriber videos, I've been putting out now what to do with that. Copper. Have I not been telling you there's something brewing each day at the London Metal Exchange? You're getting your break out of this. And I know you're going to say, and properly so, Ira, it's right at the top of a Bollinger Band, and it came out. You're right, but it's in the very top of the range. You get another day like this tomorrow. I don't care how much it's up. I care that it's higher, closes higher, and just like this, at the very top of the trading range, then I think we have a breakout to the upside, and the market can do whatever the market's going to do. I think they've got the shorts caught. In my report today, I was showing that since the beginning of the year, the London Metal Exchange's copper inventories are down 80%. That's what I read today coming out of the exchange itself in news and what's there. That's got all the merit to it of a squeeze. All right, so I'd be very careful. Where's it going? America. Everybody's trying to get that copper here before tariffs hit. That's basically what I think has been going on. When we look at BND, higher lows, higher highs, it just keeps running. So what the market is doing, it is saying that we have seen a bottom. This is what it is screaming at you. We have seen a bottom in this market on this chart, and that interest rates going forward, the market is anticipating that they are going to drop. And yes, you'll get bumps along the road. It won't look like it's there. But the bigger, longer-term play, and what I'll start doing on this chart is narrowing it in, is doing just that, in my opinion. As for the dollar, you know I am bearish. And this could be the beginning of a breakout, too, in this market. Often, the right thing to do when you hit a Bollinger Band is you take money off the table and a tight stop. If it goes and continues to go, great, but most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time it'll pull back in there, but I think you've broken this market, period. You look at it, you're down, I think, 11% now since the beginning of this drop. And I think the dollar's going under 90 in the futures markets versus the basket of currency. So I'm looking very hard at that. At the same time, one of the leaders is FXE. The British pound is doing well. The Swiss franc is doing well. So I pay attention to all that. You get to keep up with this by joining me in my morning videos. I start you off in the futures at 6 in the morning, and then at 9, I'm recording away in the stocks, the ETFs. The charts will look like this. They'll have studies. Everything comes into gear very quickly for you. You got your futures, your SPDR-ETF videos. We even have it where as soon as I post them, You can go into your member area, you set up from the website, it'll send you notice the moment they're posted. You don't even have to wait for an email. It'll just come through there, not as a text message. How many of those do you get? You go to websites, you sign up, you get them. They're not text messages, so there's no cost to it. It works around the world, unlike what texts do sometimes, so it's pretty interesting. Just go to IraEpstein.com research. You can view everything through that. You can move your cursor up here, and they'll take you right to that area. I'm Ira. Have yourself a great evening. It's an exciting time. The bull market is on. The question, of course, is when do we get a correction in it again? And traders are looking for that. Sometimes you don't get that break. I'm Ira. You take care.